All right, so here we go. Postal, The Complete Collection, Matt Hawkins, Brian Hill, Isaac Goodhart on art. Go ahead and flip it over here so you guys can see the spine. You have the nice image and Top Cow logos there. There is the back of the book. Now, cover price on this title is $60 US. I don't know what that would equate to in Canadian. Probably like 80, 85 if I had to guess. But you can get this book right now for 42% off on IST. Otherwise, you could pay cover price, I know here in the US at least, on Amazon. But you are getting 28 issues in all. So, I mean, you know, it's about a little over $2 an issue if you do end up paying cover price. So, overall, it's really not a horrible deal there. So, all right, let's kind of go through here and show you guys what the book is all about. All right, so I am kind of opening up here and relaxing the spine. I did do this a little bit earlier when I first got the book, but I really wanted to make sure that it lays flat. It is a sewn binding. It does have the flat spine. That's kind of what I was demonstrating there earlier, is that it is a flat spine, so it doesn't quite have the eye hole that maybe you're a little bit used to when you're doing this. But it does lay nice and flat. I mean, we're probably like 20 pages in at this point, and it's laying, nice and flat. So it opens up really nicely for a sewn binding. It just doesn't have that eye hole, which is due to that flat spine. So Postal, what is it about? Well, it is about a young man by the name of Mark Schifron. And Mark has been diagnosed with Asperger's. For those that do not know, Asperger's is some would say a developmentally disability. Other people say that it's not a disability. So it just kind of depends on your. It is on the autism spectrum, though, usually on the higher functioning end of the autism spectrum. But Asperger's really kind of sort of impacts the way that people that have it process their emotions and kind of their thoughts process. And everybody's a little bit different, so there's no one size fits all shoe on this on the Asperger syndrome. So please don't think that I'm trying to paint everybody in the same light. But in my personal experience with people that have it, and in the experience with this book, which is another reason why it really hit home with me, is that Mark has he's very literal. Okay, so he has a hard time understanding sarcasm and understanding humor and things like that. He is extremely literal. He has a very hard time of processing his emotions. He's sometimes when he feels something, he's not entirely sure what it is that he's feeling, and maybe he has a hard time expressing whatever that emotion is that he does have. So that's sort of the backstory on Mark and kind of who Mark is. Now, Mark's mom, Laura, is the mayor of this town called Eden. Now, what Eden is that it is a town created by criminals for criminals. It is completely off the grid. There's no cell phones. There's no nothing, okay? It's 100% off the grid. It's almost like a safe haven, if you will, for criminals. And Mark is the post office, the postman for this small town. Now, Mark's dad and his mom, Laura and Isaac, they actually founded the town of Eden many years ago before Mark was born. And it was originally created, like I said, to kind of be a safe haven for criminals. Well, Laura has made it now as being mayor that she will not tolerate crime at all in this town. So if you're gonna, try to commit crimes or do something like that, you're going to leave Eden. You cannot be there. This is strictly a safe haven. There are some higher end, like FBI, CIA people that are aware of Eden, and sometimes they might even use it as like I said, a safe house. But yeah, so I mean that's kind of, and so what the story is that there's a murder right off the bat, in this town that is not supposed to have any crime. And it really kind of starts Mark down this path of investigating things and really trying to find out, what's going on. And it just sort of unravels this whole mystery on the town and, the history of the town and Mark's history and things that he didn't know. And he's learning things about his mom and he's learning things about his dad. And so it's just kind of a story of self-discovery slash crime and mystery. It's a really, really good book. Some people kind of complained in the very beginning that You know, the story was predictable, that you could see the plot points coming from a mile away. And while that may be true to an extent, I still enjoyed the hell out of it. This book started in February of 2015. It ran for 25 issues plus the 3 one-shots. So this book does collect everything, minus the Eden's Fall crossover that happened with the Tithe and Think Tank, which are a couple other Edenverse books that Matt Hawkins wrote. But aside from Eden's Fall, because honestly, if you didn't read the Tithe and or Think Tank, you're probably going to have a hard time understanding what was going on in that mini crossover anyway. So I guess it would make sense why they wouldn't include it. So it does include, though, the full 25 issues of the series and then the 3 one-shots. And a lot of people did say that towards the end of the series, they thought that the writing got a lot better. Well, if I remember correctly, I had interviewed Brian Hill for a podcast years ago, not like years ago, but like 4 years or so ago. And if I remember correctly, I think this was like one of his very first comic book projects that he had ever worked on. If I remember correctly, he had gone to school to become a writer for like television and movies and things. And then he sort of got into comic books initially. And this is like one of the first books that he had written. So it was a little bit of a learning curve for him, but I still think he knocked it out of the park. I think his writing is phenomenal. I thought it was really solid. You know, you have Matt Hawkins, who's a seasoned pro, really great guy to talk to as well, kind of help mentor him and things throughout. And like I said, towards the end, people did say that it got a lot better. But anyway, not Matt Hawkins, I'm sorry, Brian Hill actually went on to write television. So now he's writing for television shows like Titans on DC Universe and things like that. And this was apparently picked up for on Hulu as a pilot. Now, whether or not it's actually going to air and we're actually going to get a season of it, who knows? But it was picked up as option for Hulu. So with Brian now being a writer on TV, I think it would be really great if we could get him on. Those covers right there, by the way, are really awesome covers. I love those variants a lot. It does have the Kickstarter thank yous in the back. Now, this is not the Kickstarter edition. The Kickstarter edition actually does have a really nice dust jacket and things with it. This is not that. This is just a standard hardcover edition. It is deluxe oversized, but it's nothing special. And then there's the Think Tank and the Tithe, which are a couple books by Matt Hawkins that are part of the Edenverse, as I was talking earlier. So overall, it's a really great title that, you know, even if you dip your toes into it and you think that it's not for you, you'll be able to resell the book and get your money back at least, probably. So worst case scenario, but I always do recommend people check a few issues out of any book digitally prior to buying it, because you don't want to waste your time and or money. So yeah, but overall, I think it's a really great book. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So please, by all means, check it out. And until next time, the power is yours.